Hey, welcome everyone. So we'll give everyone a chance to sign on while we get a last few things set up here for all of you that are joining us today. Let's get that up there, and let's get one more out here. There you go. Let's put that up with us, and let's talk a little bit about the legalities while everybody's signing up. Right? Read the disclaimer. Don't forget to read the disclaimer. It's important. Okay. Past performance is not an indicator of future performance. We are not registered or certified or any form professional training. The government says we're amateurs. Always consult a professional. Nothing in this show should be considered an offer to buy or sell any security. It's for entertainment purposes only, and read the disclaimer. It's very important. So we got a big show today. There's a lot going on in the market. So we'll let everybody get signed on, and we'll get to it here. Of course, if you want to join us, there's the link there. In fact, let's put it down here for you. We'll put that right in the comments. Isn't this show fun, though? All right, so we've got our first person here. So again, let's go over the disclaimer real quick again. Past performance is not an indicator of future performance. That's common across the board. That should be a basic understanding if you're trading the market. We are not registered or certified. This show is for entertainment purposes only. No offers to buy or sell any securities. Always consult a professional and read the disclaimer. Get into that habit. So, yes, the show is fun. We're going to try and make it more fun today. We got a lot to talk about. So this time we went ahead and put that link in the comments. So anybody wants to click it, it's there. So that way we don't interfere with the show with that cryon. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got a few people here already. Let's talk about the Fed. So the Fed left rates unchanged, but they said some good things about the economy, right? That it's nice and strong. That's not often you get that kind of verbiage from the Fed. They're very conservative. Yeah, a lot of new members. So, you guys, we're going to condition them to get here as quick as you do. But, it's interesting with the Fed. It's good terminology. I mean, it sounds like they're optimistic on the market. It sounds like we're going to get the kind of economy that's effective with these rate hikes. There's a lot of good stuff going on, good growth, good expansion. Of course, there's this trade talk, and we'll talk about that in a minute. As we get deeper into the show. But yeah, so the Fed said the economy's strong, and we agree with them. You can take all this social and political crap and you can put it into crumple it up like a piece of paper and throw it in the rubbish can. All that really matters is the real numbers. And the real numbers are telling us unemployment's at an all-time low. Besides trade, trade is really the weak link right now in the economic growth, and it's being addressed, and it's being addressed very aggressively. You've got job growth. We had another job number today that was real good. You've got earnings growth, which is real good. A lot of good things going for this economy. Ignore all the BS. We always tell you that, right? We're traders. We're unemotional, okay? So let's kind of move on because we had some big earnings after the bell today. Tesla missed, but stock's up $10. That's how Tesla works. Tesla's a little darling. People like it. Analysts like it. People like to talk crap about Tesla. And, when Elon Musk is out there tweeting all kinds of crazy stuff, he almost takes that Trump tweet style with him, right? And he's going after people that are short the stock and things like that. It's really fun, but it really has nothing to do with an earnings report, right? So people take that and they say, oh, short the stock. The company's falling apart. Elon Musk is going nuts. Well, guess what? If you did, you missed out on about a $10 run. Good job. And, this is important. Let's talk about another earnings report. X-Beat estimates. U.S. Steel, which is a very important infrastructure stock and something that we've owned since it was about 3 or 4 earnings reports ago. They had a real bad earnings report. The stock cratered down to $20. We own U.S. Steel. We've owned it since about $19-20. So we're pretty proud of that trade. We ignore the day-to-day fluctuations. X is a heart attack stock. We talk about it all the time. It bounces up and down. But look, as long as it went from 19 to what is it right now? 35. Can't beat that, right? So all you naysayers, there you go. So we did open up some new positions today, and we'll talk about those in a second. But let's get back to talking about the market in itself, because it's kind of an important day, right? I mean, we've had those bad days where we had those earnings misses from Facebook, Netflix, and all this. And we kept telling our members, and we even said it on the show, right? Everybody stay calm, because, you know, really Netflix and stuff are, you know, they're FANG stocks and they get a lot of attention, but really the truth is they're not as influential on the overall market as they'd like to think they are. Now, Google is, Apple is, and Amazon is, but the other ones you can kind of take with a grain of salt, right? They're the Jim Cramer fan club stocks. But we like to pay attention to Google. We like to pay attention to Apple, and we like to pay attention to Amazon, right? Amazon's a fantastic company. Look what Jeff Bezos done with it over the last 5-10 years. Just incredible. I remember a time when people swore up and down that Amazon would never turn a profit, that it was just an online bookstore and it was pretty much worthless. And look at it now, right? Look, kind of people are kind of saying the same thing about Tesla, right? Will they be proven wrong? So X is up about 3% now. Tesla is still doing its thing. It's up about $12, 4% after missing. So, and this is what we want to talk about. So we just come off these misses, and then we got that nice Apple hit. Apple tore up earnings last night. Fantastic. We've got this good outlook from the Federal Reserve today, which was fantastic. But in between there, what we got was Trump tweeting about his tariffs with China. Right? He's talking about raising them from 10% up to 25%. He's being very aggressive with this. He's trying to get the Chinese to the negotiating table. And we think, we like to prognosticate, right? Over, and the people that are regular viewers, especially way back to when we did the Financial Reboot show, we like to in the right situations, right? We called the Brexit when everybody was going against it. We called Trump being elected when everybody was saying that there was no way it could happen. Right now, we're going to call it. We're going to say by Labor Day, Trump has the Chinese on the negotiating table. So we'll see if that plays out true, but we feel pretty good about it. Look, there's only one way to deal with a bully, and that's to be a bigger bully. And right now, you can bitch and moan about him and his style, but we've got the biggest bully on the block. And so let's put a little confidence in him. We think, he's already gotten the EU to start talking seriously. And so now China is going to come on board. China is using all kinds of techniques right now to combat this trade war talk and stuff, right? They devalue the yuan. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Well, guess what? But their market is just falling apart. At some point, that puts pressure on the government, right? And then the government needs to do whatever it needs to do to straighten that out. It's just like in the US. If something happens that really crashes the market, affects the market, the government immediately will take action to try and straighten it out, right? If you guys remember way back in, I think it was 2001 or 2002, one day the market, Greenspan was still the Federal Reserve chairman. And one day the market was just tanking. And they cut rates right in the middle of the market day. How's that? Right? That's how important the market is to an economy, especially the size of the Chinese economy, the US economy, and the European economies. So we think Trump has this under control and everybody at the table by Labor Day. So let's see if this plays out. Now, we took up some new positions today, but let's talk about the one we've been talking about the last 2 days. We're still holding our Qs. Why? What we just talked about. Look, we went to this big depression, this crater, right, from the Netflix and all that miss. But now all of a sudden, Apple's kicked in. Now you got the nice report from the Federal Reserve. Now you've got Tesla up almost $13. You've got U.S. Steel hit. They beat by, I think it was 33 cents. They just tore up earnings. That shows infrastructure. It's a very good thing. So We had a nice day with the NASDAQ today, right? You can see the markets today. The Dow closed down about 90 points. The S&P closed down about 16 points. And the NASDAQ, oh, you know what? We've got the wrong one up there. That's the old one. Give me a second here. Ooh, technical difficulty. Yikes. Nothing like a live show, boys and girls. Okay, now we got the right one up there. Okay, so the Dow closed down about 81 points. S&P was pretty much flat, down about 3 points. The NASDAQ had a decent day. It was up 35 points at the close, was even higher than that earlier in the day. So look, it washed out that Trump tweet, right? And it's because people believe that Trump is doing the right thing. The market's starting to believe that. You know, your media, especially CNBC. We watched CNBC today. Usually we don't watch with the sound on, but we wanted to actually get a feel for where they were going because look, we are always confident that when CNBC goes one way, you go the other way. Okay. They are the red flag for all trades. And all it was a parade of these geniuses that say Trump is just ruining the world. That's a good sign. We've always said it about Trump, right? You know, it's not about support. It's not about not supporting him. It's about the American economy and our paychecks. And we just really feel that he's got this going in the right direction. So let's see how that plays out. But we look like we got some good momentum going into the market, right? So we carried those Qs one more day. They expire on Friday, but we'll think we'll get a nice gap up tomorrow. Okay. Now, never count your chickens before they hatch. You know, we were mentioning that to the office yesterday because they were talking about after that Apple earnings came out and stuff. You know, the Qs, the futures for the NASDAQ were going up, and then all of a sudden that Trump tweet came out, right, and it kind of put a damper on it. But that's what we were telling the office. Don't count your chickens till you actually hatch those eggs. So we're still holding those Qs, but we opened up at a couple positions today. We went long Twitter today. Twitter was cratering today, and it looks like we caught it at the bottom. We went out a couple weeks on that and just about $1 out of the money. We'll tell you exactly the trade tomorrow after we are sure that all our members are in it. Later in the day, we went short. Excuse me. Later in the day, we went short AT&T. We don't like AT&T, and plus too, AT&T, big telecom. It's been struggling lately, and also too, look, rising interest rates, just like with utilities, that's the telecom's enemy. So we think T is going to have some real struggles here going forward, and it's going to start soon. We went a little farther out on those contracts. Like we said, we'll talk to you guys about what the exact contracts were tomorrow. But you know, we wanted to, before we get into the quote of the day and stuff, let's talk about something that we were talking with our members today, because we've got a couple of them that, of course, you know, they own some stock, and they, you know, one of the most curious trades is always the covered calls, right? Covered calls can be very, very profitable. Not big hits, but you know, you can get a lot of small chips with covered calls. And let's talk about that a little bit. All a covered call is, you know, we're option traders, right? So we buy to open on calls, we buy to open on puts, then we sell to close, right, to exit the trade. Well, who's on the other end of that, right? When you buy to open a call contract, who's on the other end of that? Well, it's a guy that owns 100 shares of the stock, and he wants to try and make a little extra income, or he wants to protect himself from a big price move down. So what do? Well, instead of buying the contract, what you're doing is selling the right. You're selling the right for this person that buys the contract from you to buy those 100 shares at that strike price, that pre-designated strike price. So here's the trick to covered calls. One, you know, ideally on a covered call, if you sell the contract, you get the premium immediately. You'll see it in your account. And then what happens is, over the life of the contract, if the stock never reaches a strike and the contract expires worthless, you just keep the premium and it all goes away. If it does make a big move and goes to the strike, you do keep the premium, but when they exercise the contract, you lose the stock. But the great thing is, as long as you pick your strike price correctly, you'll get what you're satisfied with for the stock sale. So it would be just like you're exiting a position normally, right? So where's the trick in that? Well, the trick is you want to get a strike where it doesn't get executed, where it expires worthless, so you can keep that premium. but you don't want to go too far out on the strike, because then it's an unrealistic, it's a 2-3 cents per contract option. You're making $5 every trade. That's too much work for no money, for that amount of money. So, and us, we don't like to work hard. So let me share my personal option covered call strategy with all of you, and you guys can kind of digest it and take it for what it's worth. What we like to do is, say we had 100 shares of Snap and we bought it at $12. We'd like to every week you've got weekly options that expire. So what we like to do is, what we would do is, on Monday, we check out the stock and we look, what do we think is going to happen with it this week? Maybe it's going to go sideways. Maybe we see a move coming. Maybe we see a move down coming. We'll analyze it there. On Tuesday, we will sell covered calls for a strike. Like on a 1250 Snap, we'll look at the chart. If $14 or $15 seems unrealistic, it could happen, but it's unrealistic, but you can get a little premium out of it because it's not a lotto. Then we'll sell like a 14 or a 15, and we'll just do that every week, and we'll try to get maybe about $50 to $100 a trade. It's not bad, right? I mean, you think about it, if you hit that 4 times a week, you got about $200 extra a month. That's not bad. Very nice. And that's how we like to do it. Now, one of our members out there owns Shop. So, if you guys want to have some fun, go take a look at Shop tonight, and tomorrow come back to the show and let's talk about what options you would have sold, and we'll compare it to what contracts we would have sold. And let's see if everybody's getting the idea. But that's the trick to covered calls. All they are is a great defensive mechanism to protect yourself. Say you bought that Snap at $12. You're happy with it. Everything's going along fine. So you sell some covered calls at $14. Stock just craters. It goes down to $10. Well, yeah, it hurts with that stock, but you haven't even lost any real money, right? It's an unrealized loss. But you will cash in on those covered calls, right? And you just keep doing that week in and week out. You'll be fine. So that's how we like to do covered calls. And let's talk a little bit about the market going forward. Like we said, it looks like we're getting some nice footing here. Tesla is now up $15 on an earnings miss. That's good signs for the market, and we like that. And right, yeah, nice premium. And that's what you want to get with these covered calls, is you want to find a nice premium, but you want to strike where you're probably not going to have to give up the stock. Or if you do have to give up the stock, you get the price that you wanted, that would have been satisfactory to you for closing out the position normally. So covered calls are a lot of fun. So like I said, we'll all digest this. You guys digest it overnight, and just like Mr. Savar did, post what you would sell, what level you would sell, and let's kind of dissect it from there. But again, we think the market's really, really, the ideal thing with covered calls is that they never execute. They just keep expiring, and you keep making money. And if it's a nice, slow, logical, orderly move up, guess what? Every week you're resetting this strike higher and higher. So you're getting unrealized gain from the stock accelerating, plus you're cashing in some premiums from the strikes, from the covered calls, right? So it's a wonderful thing. Done right, covered calls are a masterful thing. You guys all see those emails, those marketing emails that come from a lot of these companies, create a $1,700 paycheck every 30 days. Well, now you know how they do it, right? That's either they're using covered calls or they're buying, selling dividends. The other strategy is you find a nice dividend stock, and right before the ex-dividend date, when they pay, you buy the shares. And then the next day, as long as you're a shareholder of record, you'll get that dividend. So the next day you sell the stock. You find a stock that doesn't really move, or maybe just gives you a slight move up. You cash those in, you still get the dividend, and you just do that across the board. So you're putting your money on the table, but you're taking it off the table right away. So you're removing the risk, and you're going to cash that dividend. That's how you do it. It's tricky. It's a lot of work. It's way too much work for such a small profit. And if you have to trade like that, you probably do need some help, because that's really, really, that is the ones, it's the old saying, right? It's uh, the ones, there always has to be a way for the not as smart people to make money, right? And that's the way it is. You know what I mean? That really is a cop out, if you ask us. Creating wealth like that, there's way better, way faster ways to create wealth. So look, gang, it was a great day. Despite having the red market, man, look at Tesla, man. It's up $16 now. Jeez Louise, having a beautiful day. So I thought shop reported today, but it's not showing any big action. It's up about 14 cents, so it might not be today. US Steel is up about 0.5%. They'll probably have their guidance call, and that always with US Steel, man, that earnings report comes out and it kind of pops, it kind of moves a little bit, but that conference call is like Apple. Really, it'll dictate what's going on going forward. We've still got those AKS options, which is the other smaller steel company. So hopefully some good sentiment into steel tomorrow, man. It'll push up those AKS for us too. So look, guys, let's go into the quote, because, we wanted to talk about this quote because it's kind of important. And, we have the I Love Investing site, which you're on right now. And of course, we have our Stock Pick Profits private group where our members get, we're on the internet. So we get a lot of haters. People that'll just post things like bullshit, you know what I mean? Or frauds and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They obviously don't have better things to do with their time, and they're obviously not building wealth, right? And there's, a lot of times it's jealousy, and a lot of times it's animosity. It's a lot of times you're more angry with your life, so you lash out at somebody who's successful. So let's kind of talk about that. That's our saying for the day. Haters are your confirmation that you are doing something right. And we always tell the office this, because sometimes we'll get these weird postings on our boards, and the office is very high integrity. Everybody in the office is incredible people, just like the trade team. Not to say that the trade team's not integrity and stuff, but look, every time people post this kind of crazy stuff, they always come to the trade team. Oh, what's going on? Why are these people saying these kind of things? And we always say, look, that's confirmation that you're doing something right. If you can attract the trolls, that's good stuff. And remember that in your life too. Anytime you're successful, anytime, especially when you're right and a majority is wrong, haters are going to come at you. Trolls are going to come at you. Don't ever let other people's opinions sway when you know you're right. You always, just like you're trading, right? You have a fantastic plan, entry plan, exit plan, contingency plan. You also have built yourself into the ultimate trader before you even start trading, right? You have a buy program. You're very strict. You're very on top of it, right? And you're successful. Well, you're going to get haters. They're going to start dissecting everything you do. They're going to start talking crap about you. Just remember this saying: haters are your confirmation that you are doing something right. So let's kind of close it on that statement. It's been a really good Wednesday. Reminder, all you sports fans out there, the NFL season kicks off tomorrow, preseason, with the Hall of Fame game. So don't bother us at 2:00 Hawaii time. But other than that, it's been a great day. Let's see if we get a nice gap up, little momentum carry from Tesla. Was it yesterday? We'll go take a look at it and talk. We'll talk about it in the group later. But, I'm curious to see what Shopify reported, because Square reported today, and I think they did real well. I think Square was up too. Don't have that on my watch list. We don't really play Square. But yeah, so look, gang, let's call it a day. It's been a great show. It's been a great Wednesday. Let's see if we get a nice pop at the morning tomorrow. We're still in those queues. We opened up a few new trades tomorrow. We'll give you the details on those tomorrow after we're sure that all our members are properly in the trade. And we'll talk soon. So you guys have a great Wednesday afternoon, okay? We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you.